A child speech pathologist working in Austin, Texas, has been prevented from continuing her work with her school district due to her refusal to sign a pro-Israel pledge. Bahia Amawi has been working for the Pflugerville Independent School District on a contract basis since 2009, working with children ages 3 to 11. Amawi speaks English, German, and Arabic, which is good for that area. The area has a rising Arab population. Amawi was born in Austria, but has been in the U.S. for over 30 years, and she is a U.S. citizen. So for every year, for 9 years, her contract was renewed by the school district without controversy. But this year, it was different. She was prepared to sign her contract renewal until she noticed one new and extremely significant addition, a certification she was required to sign pledging that she does not currently boycott Israel, that she will not boycott Israel during the term of her contract, and that she shall refrain from any action that is intended to penalize, inflict economic harm on, or limit commercial relations with Israel or with a person or entity doing business in Israeli or in Israel-controlled territory. So this was actually a picture of, the section that she was supposed to put her initial on.
So her contract was renewed, and she met the certification standards and requirements for the past, 8 years?
For 9 years.
9 years?
9 years.
So, I guess this oath that she had to take or sign or initial, this was the first time this showed up.
That's correct.
In our contract.
Yes.
Why was this the first time this showed up?
Well, because it's a new law. It was a new law that was actually signed by, it was signed into law by the Texas Republican governor, Greg Abbott. It was signed into law in 2017. And it allowed school districts to mandate that teachers or their staff, teachers or staff actually, have to sign off on not protesting against Israel, not boycotting against Israel, or they would be banned from working or being contracted with state agencies. So that's why this is new, and this happened in August of this year.
But see, my question is, how would they know if a person is participating in BDS? Unless the person
so BDS is the boycott, divest, and sanctions movement.
Yeah. So how would they know unless that person made it publicly known? Because it's you can't point out a non-action. That's what makes it so sinister, because it's restricting a passive form of expression.
Right.
So they're trying to prevent somebody from disengaging in an activity. So how do you prove that this person is involved in that unless, like I said, they make it public?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
So, like you said, you were talking about the BDS movement, boycott, divest, and sanctions movement. And what that does is it seeks to put pressure, economic pressure on the state of Israel to, among other things, end their occupation of the West Bank. So, like you were saying, how would you know if somebody is involved with BDS? How would you know if somebody was involved in boycotting Israel products or anything like that? Amawi is no leader of any movement or anything like that. Now, she does, she is Palestinian American, I believe. She does boycott Israeli products, and she chooses to do that. She has also said that she has engaged in some peaceful protests, I believe, as well. But it's not something that she's on the forefront of, news publications. She's not some leader of any movement. Like I said, nobody would know what her attitude or what her mind frame is about this unless, I guess, she told you. So it seems strange that you would, and I don't believe she was. I can't say that she was targeted, because again, this is something that can be put into any contract. But since she is, she has a feeling about Israel, and she is in support of the BDS movement. She told, because this is a statement from her. The Intercept asked her if she considered signing the pledge to get her job back. And she said, absolutely not. I couldn't in good conscience do that. If I did, I would not only be betraying Palestinians suffering under an occupation that I believe is unjust and thus become complicit in their repression, but I'd also be betraying my fellow Americans by enabling violations of our constitutional rights to free speech and protest peacefully.
So where does it end? Because lawmakers could ostensibly create oaths that force people to support or withhold support from any group, like what, police unions?
Yeah.
I mean, anything. Salvation Army?
Yeah. I mean,
United Way? YMCA? The NRA?
This is no different than forcing somebody to not protest against the NRA. This is no different than that being legal or being mandated to put in a contract. It's no different.
I was thinking
whatsoever.
like these state officials that like made these laws took an oath to defend the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
I guess the oath to defend Israel's economic interest is more important to them.
And see, and that's another statement that Amawi made. She said it's baffling that they can throw this down our throats and decide to protect another country's economy versus protecting our constitutional rights, which is absolutely true. Like the whole anti-BDS movement is to protect the economic interests of Israel. Now, no matter what side of the argument you're on, no matter if you're supportive of BDS or you're not in support of BDS, I can't see how a rational person who believes in the Constitution, who believes in the First Amendment, who believes in the right to free speech and freedom of expression, the right to protest, I can't see how you would feel comfortable with Texas being able to do this or any government being able to do this. There is nothing that was signed into legislation in Texas that prevents Amawi or anybody else from protesting against the state of Texas or any other state in the United States of America. So she could protest any product that is made in the state that she resides in, and she would still be good with this school district. She would still be able to have a job with this school district.
That is interesting to me, that there is no equivalent oath to have state employees protect the interest of the country that they live in or the state that they live in. There's no equivalent. So it's just Israel. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't. Like this was actually done before. You remember I believe it was last year. Well, was it last year? I can't remember, but this was done in the state of North Carolina. You remember when the state of North Carolina, they had that Republican governor, and they had initiated these anti-LGBT laws, bathroom bills, and companies were just running away and threatening to move their business outside the state of North Carolina. And then North Carolina had to do something about that. So
they didn't do the right thing, though.
Yeah, but people were boycotting against the state of North Carolina, saying that we are not coming to your state. Even sports teams were like, no, we're not holding our events there. This was covered by many publications, many outlets. So how is that okay? But you're saying that Amawi, she has to agree not to penalize the Israeli economy for her to have a job in this country.
But think about what kind of door that opens up for something more sinister to be on the horizon, because like, you mentioned, there is no equivalent oath, I guess, to protect the interest of U.S. corporations. But since this is on the books and being implemented, why wouldn't the next step be oaths to protect the U.S. corporations in the same way?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. That would be the next step.
That would be the next step.
And that would be unconstitutional as well.
Unconstitutional.
You have to agree to support the NRA. You have to agree to support whatever. If you don't, you have to agree to support the Republican Party.
This oath unconstitutionally disqualifies a person from working for the state based on protected expression.
Exactly. This is why it's a lie that Republicans
That has nothing to do with their job. I forgot that part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't mention that. This has absolutely nothing to do with her actual work. The work that she provides for this school. Again, this community has a rising Arab population. So it's important to catch kids. She's a speech pathologist, okay? So it's important to catch kids at a young age so that if they do have any speech impediments, any problems, it's important to catch that early so that it doesn't continue later on in life. So
they're not just hurting Amawi.
You're hurting the community as well. How does that have to do, what does this have to do with Israel's economy? It has absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever.
This doesn't seem very free market to me, does it?
That's why, and what I was going to say was, like, the whole idea that the Republican Party are staunch advocates of the First Amendment
and free markets
is complete bullshit. They are not. When it's something that is against their interest, then they're like, you know what? We can give a damn about this free speech business, this protesting and all this. No, not go by the wayside. No, you got to support our interests. If you don't, you're out of a job.
You know what that kind of illustrates, man? That illustrates the weakness in their position. That illustrates
to force it.
That's exactly, like, if you have to force something, that means you are not doing a good job selling it, and people are not buying it.
Exactly. And how are you going to force people to buy it, man? How are you going to force people to buy it?
How are you going to force people to buy an ideology? That means your ideology is fucking weak. You see what I'm saying?
But again, even if it was weak, man, how are you going to force people to, how are you going to sign something into legislation, have it on the books, forcing them to adhere to your ideology? That's not constitutional.
I might tweet Ben Shapiro this story because he was on Twitter all incensed about some two conservative journalists who didn't get a job at Washington Post or some media outlet, saying it was discrimination. I was like,
nah, this is discrimination right here.
Discrimination.
So she, on Monday, a lawsuit was filed against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and the Pflugerville Independent School District in the Western District of Texas, alleging a violation of Amawi's First Amendment right of free speech. So, I can't even dream up a situation where she doesn't win. I can't.
And
if the Constitution is what it says it is, if the First Amendment has been upheld time and time again, how does she lose?
And this is not the only state that has passed laws like this.
No.
And so her case could have serious implications.
Yep. South Carolina is actually one of those states.
Represent
South Carolina, man.
Begrudgingly.
Not on this issue.
No.
But yeah, man. None but support for her. Again, it doesn't matter where you sit out on the conversation of BDS. If you are pro BDS, if you are anti BDS, it does not matter. She has a right to support BDS if she wants to. She has a right to say, I don't want to support the Israeli economy. I don't want to buy products from them. I'm not going to do it. She has every right to do that whatsoever. You can't force her to spend money and benefit the state of Israel. You just can't force her to do that. You can't force her into submission, and if you don't do it, we have your job. Sorry, you're not going to get. That's just not.
It does. It kind of gives you a glimpse into how these state officials, mainly Republicans, but it kind of gives you a glimpse into like what is their avenue for power.
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting restrictions on who you can or cannot buy from.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows you that like everything that they do and the power that they seek is always driven by their economic policies.
Yep.
Always.
It's not about rights.
It's about money. It's about the economy. It's just about power obtained through economic policy. In this case, it's forced.
I won't say that this is the only thing that makes dealing with Israel difficult. It's absolutely not. But this adds to the difficulty of seeing a resolution, like something actually being done over there in Israel, in the West Bank, occupied territory. Because if you have U.S. leaders using their muscles to force people into submission, to force people to support the state of Israel, even noting that for years they have been in violation of international law, how does that situation ever get better over there? How does it get better if U.S. leaders are forcing people into submission and saying that you can't protest against Israel? You have to buy products, or you can't not buy products, or you can't state that you won't buy products from Israel. You can't protest against Israel. How does anything ever get better? Like, I understand that, like, if you're saying that Israel is a sovereign country, they definitely are, right? If you're saying that Israel has the right to self-determination, they absolutely do, because they are a sovereign country. But when the U.S. is subsidizing their interests, giving more money to Israel than any other country, actually all other countries combined, we're giving way more money to Israel. When that is happening, then that means we're involved in the conversation.
Man, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. Like, what does it say about their so-called integrity when it needs to be subsidized? Because that's kind of the backdrop of why they demand everyone have loyalty to Israel, because there's some sort of moral obligation to do that. But again, why do you have to subsidize that type of moral obligation? Why do you have to subsidize your integrity? You shouldn't have to do that if it's actually valuable. That tells me that it's not valuable. You see what I'm saying?
Like you said, it's about economic interest, man. But like I said, much success to that lawsuit.
Yeah, we're going to be following that.
We're definitely going to be following that. I don't see a loss here at all. I don't see a loss there at all.
Better not see a loss.
Better not see a loss. There's no grounds for a loss here. Bet not be a loss. If the First Amendment is what the First Amendment is, and as always, can't be a loss.